morning, Tony. I started the week off, and I just said, I'm going to do this. I wanted to do 10,000, and I just made my mind up. I was not going to quit until I got it. It was a great learning week. I learned a lot about wasting time with people that just couldn't afford anything, and so I learned, and it got down to the end of the week. Friday was not the best of days. I hit it hard. Nothing happened. And I got down to, I was missing about $100 to make it to 10. And I said, okay, I'm not going to stop. I wanted to go home. I was tired. But it ended up, I went, it was a bad neighborhood, and I went up to a shack-looking house and got out, and a woman came out. She was pretty grouchy, and she said, what do you want? And so we went through everything. Bottom line, she said, I've got insurance. She said, I've already filled out a form for Globe Life. And so it was a little uncomfortable. She tried to run me off, but I stood my ground, and I told her, I said, if you'll just give me just a few minutes of your time, I promise you that I can show you that Globe Life is going to be term. And she said, no, it's not. I've already gone over it. And I said, well, hey, let's just sit here and visit just a minute. And she said, well, you can't come in my house. It's a mess. I said, that's okay. We'll just sit here on the side of the porch. And we sat there a minute, and I visited with her. And I said, go get that form that you were filling out for me. She went in and got it and brought it out. She said, I've already been over. She said, I know this is life insurance and it's accidental. And I said, okay. I said, I'm going to find this little bitty small print, and I'm going to show you that this is term insurance. And sure enough, in the little print, it said, this is a term policy. Premiums will go up in 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 years. I showed her that, and she looked at me, and she started crying. And I started crying, and she said, I believe God sent you here. And I said, I'm going to tell you what, my prayer before I got to your house was, God, send me to someone who needs me and help me to do my very best to do what's best for this person. And it was just an awesome moment, and it validated to me that I'm in the business that I need to be in, because I love it, and I love helping people. So, I never imagined that she had a budget of $150 a month. She had a widow's pension. She also had her Social Security. I was able to get her granddaughter that meant the world to her on a rider. And, when it was all said and done, she hugged me and she thanked me, and she was just so grateful. She said, thank you for not leaving. And I said, there was no way I was going to leave you and not help you get you what you needed. And after that, I made it over the 10,000, and I had written about a crack house that I had been to. It was dark, and I knew better. They were it looked like drug dealers sitting all on the porch. Well, the guy at that house called me after that appointment, and I ended up going over there and writing him, but I couldn't turn that one in because we had a little blip in the checking account information. But anyway, I'll get him. It was a great week, and I'm just so excited. I've got a lot of things going on personally in my life that I got to work through, but, I just love this. I love what I do, and bottom line is, like, the only person who can change things for you is yourself. So you got to dig deep, you got to work hard, you can't give up, and you got to make it happen. That's it.
Last week was, and this is going to sound crazy, was the typical week. I worked my power schedule. I worked Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday. I work usually get to the first door around 10:30, and I work till about, it's staying light till like 9:30. So I'm working till about 8:30. I knock my last door about 8:30, and then I come home. And so I picked up $3,000 on Monday. I picked up about $2,000 on Tuesday, picked up about $2,400 on Thursday, and then I work every other Friday delivering policies. and I picked up a grand when I was delivering policies. Boom, there's your 84, 8,500. And of course, when they were all great days, it all worked together. And so you just got to know, here's the schedule. And so this is what I'm going to do. You know, going into the week, here's what a week looks like. Here's what my expectations are. Here's what I'm believing for. Here's what my faith is for. And boom, imagine that it's going to happen just like that if you follow the system and everything. I've got one case study that I think is just fantastic. I was kind of proud of myself when I left this one, so I want to share this case study. I wasn't in the top call, so I didn't get to share this study earlier this week. But it was this lady. She was mid-70s or something, and I get there. She had just moved in with her daughter back in January. She moved in town from Pennsylvania, so now she was living here in Central Ohio. And so I'm assuming right there that one, she's got a lot of health problems. But then also I'm assuming she's probably got a little extra money because she just cut her expenses. You know, she's cut her expenses moving with her daughter. So either she was coming in to help out her daughter was helping her. I didn't know, but you just start smelling the sale of figuring out where it's at. So this lady, she's like, oh, is this about life insurance? You know, so I'm sitting on the couch. Is this about life insurance? And so, you know, sometimes you're hesitant when they say that question because you don't know if you should say yep because they're ready to sign an app, or if you should say, well, that's one of the things we do is you try to figure that out when they're saying that. You want to read the situation. And so on this one, I actually said, well, that's part of what we do. And she goes, oh, I'm so sorry I sent that in. I didn't mean, if this is about life insurance, I don't need that. I'm sorry to waste your time. And she starts standing up. And, of course, I'm just parked on the couch. I'm not standing up. And so I said, well, that's just part of what we do. And I said, well, tell me, you know, what were you kind of thinking? Tell me some of the things that maybe you've already set up. And she goes, I don't need life insurance. We didn't do anything for my husband. He got cremated. I'm donating my body to science. She said that I just don't want a lot of fuss when I die. And I said, well, that's fantastic. I said, that's exactly why I'm here. Those are the things that we go over. And so she kind of sat back down on the couch again. We talked for a few more minutes. I distracted her a little bit, warmed up a little bit more. And then she came back. She says, so you're just selling life insurance, right? And I said, well, yes, that's part of it. And she starts standing up and she goes, no, remember, I don't need that. I'm donating my body to science. And so I said, no, I agree. So anyway, so I told her, I said, look, I think everybody should donate their body to science. I think that's a fantastic plan B. Let me tell you why. And then I go into it why I think donating your body to science is a great plan B. And I'll just run through that real quick with you guys that have never heard this spiel. And so basically I'll go into it and I'll say, donating your body to science is fantastic. I said, but because I think you're advancing science, you're doing all the great things so that you're helping people that they solve diseases. And I said, but one thing I said, well, have you approved already? Did they give you that little plastic card you put in your wallet? And she said, oh, no, I'm not even approved yet. I haven't even applied. And I said, oh, okay. I said, so here's what they'll do. So when you apply at the local university, they're going to send you a card that says when you're approved. And on that card, it'll say you're approved at such and such university. And I said, but you want to look for this on the back because it's on all of them. You flip it over on the back, and it'll say two things. It'll say, one, they can refuse your body at any point if they're overcrowded or overfull. I says, number two, they'll also say they'll refuse your body if you die of certain diseases that they don't want anymore, like cancer. If you die of cancer, they won't want those bodies. So I just throw that out there, and I'm just kind of acting like it's still a great thing. And then I go into it, and I said, so the reason I like it as a plan B is because, and that it's such a fantastic thing, is because, man, there'd be like no funeral expenses. After they're done, they send you back, you're cremated. Boom, your family doesn't have any of that. They can disperse the ashes. They can bury the ashes. You know, I go through the whole spiel. I said, at the end of the day, if you die of cancer or some of the other diseases and they don't want those bodies, they don't take you. I said, did you know that? And she goes, no. I said, yeah, that's why it doesn't work for plan A. No, he's down plan. I said, and then also, and so I'm just kind of going through and I'm telling her how great it is, but then I said, and then I'll just slowly slip in there why it sucks, why it's bad, why she can't have that as a plan A. I said, so what a lot of people do, I said, you'll probably just need a small policy to take care of you in case they refuse your body, or you don't ever get off the waiting list. I said, many people, with 10,000 people turning 65 every day in America, a lot of people can't even get on the waiting list because it's such a great thing. There's so many people trying to do it. So I go through all that, and then she said she just wanted a cremation policy. She's like, all right, well, just maybe $3,000 to cover me. Her daughter comes in the room, and she's kind of been sitting there, the one that she's living with. And then her son-in-law got home from work. He comes in, and he's sitting there, and he's like, wait, are you just talking my whole life? I was like, yes. He goes, good, because I wouldn't want any of that term ever. So now we got the daughter in the room. We got him that just got home from work, and I win them over. We do a little bit of warm-up with them. And then I come back to her, and I said, now, if who's your executor? If we end up doing you like a cremation policy, who's the executor? Who's going to take care of that? And she says, well, my daughter here. This is my daughter that told me that if something happens to me, I'm supposed to move in with her, and she's going to take care of me all the rest of my days, which, like I said, she moved in with her this January. So long story short, I prodded her and I pumped her, and she just realized I didn't want any life insurance. But when she started thinking about it, she wanted to leave a lot of money home for her kid, for this one daughter, not for the other one, but for this daughter. And so it's just funny. We start prodding her in the heart and realizing, you know what, I would love to, my daughter's going to care for me. She's going to take care of me. She just took me into her home. And so I want to leave her some money. So let's see how much I can afford. Guess what? I got a consolidation loan I'm paying off next month. It's $225 a month. Well, you know what? It just so happens that I can get you $30,000. It's not life insurance. Well, of course, it's life insurance. We can leave $30,000 for your daughter. It's only $185 a month. Really? I can leave $30,000 for my daughter? Oh, my gosh, and I'm paying off this loan next month? And so it's just so funny, this lady that tried to rush me off the couch twice. She tried to get me out of her house, didn't want life insurance, wanted to donate her body to science. I make $2,000 in the house and bless her daughter with $30,000 when she passes away. So you just don't be quick to get up off the couches and follow the system. Get to conference. That's about what I got. Sorry if I took a little long time. I'm trying to talk fast. Hand it back to you.
First of all, thank you, sir. This was my best week ever, for a number of reasons beyond gross. But first and foremost, I want to just give every bit of thanks to God. I'm amazed, never short of amazed by how he keeps blessing me, whether I deserve it or not. So I'm grateful for that. And right behind that, Tony, you're in good company, because I'm going to thank you right behind thanking him. You know, man, some people know the story, some people don't. But when I started, this was a rough start for me in this business. My two uplines both left the company within a month of me being here. The month that they were here, I basically received training that consisted of, here's a bunch of applications, here's how you put a GroupMe on your phone, and good luck. So, you know, when they left, my only request, and it was honored, was that I would work directly for you, and it was the best request I've ever made. Tony, thank you, man. I really mean that from the bottom of my heart, both for your friendship, your support, your guidance. I'm without words, so thank you, buddy. As far as this week goes, this is just, you know, testimony to the fact that resiliency, tenaciousness, and just not giving up. I mean, the best case I wrote wasn't necessarily my biggest case. It was the lady that, for those of you on my Facebook, I did the video of. I promised her a year ago I would go back to her, and I leave those files and those people separate. I don't put them in the file cabinet because I'll forget them. I set a reminder on my phone, and I did go back. And, you know, you talk about a woman who really was grateful to see us and making you feel like what you do actually matters and what you do actually helps people. Listen, guys, let's face it. We all go out there. We all work the same job. We all face the same frustrations. Tony hit it on the head today with the chargebacks. You know, that's one of the biggest frustrations. But when you get that validation, when you get that person that really looks you in the eye with tears and says thank you, man, there's just nothing better than that. It supersedes the income. But, you know, I'm old school sales. And while last week was my biggest week, I'm zero today, and it's time to go out and do it again. It's just, for me, I think about conditioning. It's your mindset. You have to condition your mind that no matter the obstacle, no matter what your personal problems you're facing, no matter the pressure of finances that might be on you, you have to put yourself in that car. You have to go knock on those doors. You have to get your leads. And the last thing I will say in regards to the leads, that conditioning in the beginning came from B leads. I don't know if many of you may or may not know this, but it was only maybe a month ago I started working A leads. I was a B lead guy, and Tony kept trying to tell me, listen, Joe, you trust me in everything else. You got to trust me. The A leads will pay you. And I had such a hard time making the connection between jumping from $3 a lead to $30 a lead because, look, I'll just openly admit it to everyone on this call. I had fear. I was afraid. I'm not a guy who typically operates in a state of fear, so it was a very awkward and uncomfortable feeling for me. But I said to myself, you know what? This man has never let me down. He's never lied to me once. He's never said anything that wasn't true. He's never not followed through. So I got to do this. I got to take the leap. And I'm going to tell you something. For those of you who are on B-Leads, for those of you who get that stack and say, man, I got 3 80-year-olds. I've got a bunch of not homes. These leads are garbage. You know, what's Tony doing? Listen, 2 things you need to know. The first is what little I'm blessed to know about Tony Sachs. He does not need our lead money, okay? He is not sitting home with Amy and saying, oh, boy, I hope we could sell more leads today, honey, so I could get that new car. So it's not about selling the leads. And the second I'll tell you is this. There is no question in my mind after this last week whether or not the $30 a lead pays. Because even those that sent me away, even those that weren't medically eligible, even those that didn't, qualify with $20 a month in a budget that they could spend, they remembered filling that card out. They let me in their house. They gave me the opportunity to speak. And you know what? Sometimes that's not always the best thing, because sometimes our speaking is the worst thing that could happen. The Bible speaks that Samson killed 10,000 men with the jawbone of an ass. You know what, guys? Every single day we go out and kill deals with that same weapon, and it's our own jawbone. It is without question, and I'll just leave with this, without question, that the system, the organization, the leads, the support, it's all there. If you get romanced by other companies, if you're thinking of leaving, I'll tell you one of 2 things. The first is, I think you're making a critical error to even entertain something else when you have this in your hand. And the second thing is, and I know I'm a little blunt and a little raw, but for those of you who would entertain it, I hate to say it, guys, but I hope those people do go, because the people that go don't really belong here to begin with. And I'm so grateful for the people I work with, for the Tom Mitchells, the Marjories, the Melindas who send me text on her vacation supporting me. Patrick Davis prays for me every day. And you know what? Jim Hanrahan is my downline, and he inspires me every day. You listen to Scott Griswold on the call. You listen to Kurt Gerisi on the call. This is valuable, guys. For those of you who haven't been in a sales organization and don't have the ability to notice the difference between this and others, I promise you, I give you my absolute level word that what you have here is not only unique, but very, very special. And I'm so grateful to all of you. I don't know if you could tell the sincerity, but I promise you, I'm humbled to be in your presence, and I'm grateful for each and every one of you every day that I go out there. And I could only hope that this week I get blessed somewhere near as close to I was blessed last week. I'm going to give it back to you now, Tony. And again, man, thank you from the bottom of my heart.
Appreciate it. Okay. Well, I've always had pretty good persistency, I guess. I'm not an A type. I'm not there that, if you don't do this, you're stupid. I'm there to try and figure out where I can help them and show them the need, and then try and approach it from that angle. When I make a sale, it's because they know they need it, and they are, happy that I showed up. By the time I leave the house, normally most of the people I talk to are my best friends, and they are, I expect most of my clients to be clients for life. I had a couple of things happen yesterday that I could talk to you about, but in regards to that, but my case study basically was I've been out for 3 weeks and going stir crazy, and the peak kind of is where it is now, so it looks like it's starting to get a little bit better. So I've been quarantined for 3 weeks, so it's like I know I don't have anything, so that was going to be my spiel when I got at the door. And people let me in. In my very first place that I went to, I almost didn't go in because it was a typical dive. And, of course, the clients had 15 cats, literally. And, of course, the house smelled really bad. And I didn't really know if there's going to be any kind of a sale there or not. But, I treat everybody. I'm trying to love the person in front of me. And so we went through everything and built good rapport with them. And, I found out that they had done some things already, and I figured that there might not necessarily be a sale there because he kind of informed me at the onset that he wasn't really looking for insurance. So that kind of went in one ear and out the other, and I just kept going. And by the end of it all, because he was super excited, which means he was about 350 pounds, and the insulin-dependent diabetic and things like that, after talking with you, we decided to go with Royal Neighbors, and got him him and her both coverage for about $89 a month, or a little over, and it was a little over $1,000 yesterday. It could have been more, but he said that he's tried before and he could never get any insurance, and it was just he wanted to just cover that gap because he'd already done some planning with it. So just wanted to make sure his wife and family didn't have a bill when he left. And, I always kind of ask those questions. I always ask 2 questions every appointment. I always ask people, do you remember filling the card out? And I always ask why, and that's kind of my transition. And no matter what they say, I always give a reason why people send those cards in to me. And when you get people nodding their heads and, saying, yep, and, oh, yeah, my dad passed away, or this, and then you go through it and, figure out what happened, and a lot of times they sell themselves, and I really don't have to do a lot. But yesterday was a good day. I'm going back out this morning. I did get a little bit of resistance from one client that says, hey, I don't know if I really feel good about this, and after I told him I'd been quarantined for 3 weeks, and we kept her 6 feet when we did the appointment, and I found some stuff there that I've got to work on today, and hopefully I'll get that today, or this week. But I'm back out at it after that. But any questions?
The week before was 2. It goes up and down. As long as you hit your monthly goal, you're fine. I'm not sweating the 2,000. I did have a day this week. I went 2 for 9. 2 for 9. I had 9 presentations in one day. Busy. I was in a senior center. It didn't go as well as planned. Bunch of 90-year-olds that, you just walk away from. And then, Prudential policies. I love them. They had the book that you show the Prudential policy. They're paying $2.33 a month, and they have $12,000 in coverage, and the dividends they're growing it. And it was originally a $5,000 policy. So you run into that. Every now and then it's going to happen, and when you do, you just, oh, thanks so much for showing it. You're all set. Let me get to the next person. You're great. You're in a great spot. And so it's so true, Susan. When you're new, you don't know how to run away from things sooner because you're not sure. You're just pushing constantly, which is a good thing. You don't want to just let money be on the table, but eventually you'll waste less time. And time is of the essence, as we all know. The more time in the field, the better. Wednesday, I went all day, knocked on like 22 doors. Had nothing, was 0 for 2, and then at 8:30, I got into a house where the lady was like, oh, yeah, I'm fine, I'm really good health. I was like, have you ever had a heart attack? No. Stroke? No. Cancer? No. Diabetes? Yes. I'm just on insulin, not a big deal. Okay. And do you smoke? No. And I'm like, okay, well, we're looking good here, just diabetes. Well, daughter comes down and says, well, every time I go to the doctor, I tell the doctor, first off, she's got congestive heart failure, she's got cirrhosis, she's got COPD, and she's got neuropathy. So every time I go to the doctor, we have to say that. I'm like, oh, all right, well, AIG then. So sometimes we're trying to fight to get the best for people, and I was thinking maybe it's another company. But once I heard the cocktail of things, it's an easy AIG. And so one of the things, I've learned to do, and I know sometimes for us, we just want the best. We want the bigger premiums so we get more money. We want all, Omaha or Trans or Foresters or Liberty so we get full commission. But, you do the right thing. And I think if you do the right thing, you're better off. I was with a lady last week that also was telling me that she had a heart condition. She wasn't sure if it was congestive heart failure. She thinks it was, but wasn't sure. And so I was like, okay, we'll try it with trans. And she got declined. Of course, she has congestive heart failure. Now, normally we go Aetna, but she was like 53, which is crazy. So she calls me and it's like, you need to come back. I really want to do this. Like, really excited to get to AIG. And she lives far away. And I'm willing to drive the distance and give her, like, it's like $30 a month or something for AIG. Normally that's small and no big deal. But for us, no big deal to get commission. But, yes, big deal for them because they're getting coverage. And sometimes, we could put ourselves in like, oh, I don't feel like doing that. I don't feel like driving. I don't feel like helping this person. But you know what? Do the right thing. The right thing was helping her and her family. She really wanted it. And at the end of the day, when we're going knocking on doors, we're not necessarily looking for the jerks who have Lincoln Heritage. We're necessarily looking for the great people that we sit down with and just find and discover what they have and maybe we can help out. I have way more fun sitting down with people that are laughing, joking around, and interested in what we have to talk about than fighting and pulling teeth with people that are rude and obnoxious and trying to get them out of their Lincoln that they're really, being stubborn about. So, keep the mind fresh by keeping a positive attitude of finding the right people and not over-analyzing the people that kicked you out, because we could all easily do that and blame ourselves for, oh, this person said no, that was all on me. Not necessarily. Could have had a bad day, bad moment, you just could have got there when something else happened to the family. They didn't want to devour that information. So what? Move on. Find the people that are having fun and wanting to talk with us. I'll leave you with this. My last sale last week was one of my best. I sold like 3 people in this like apartment complex area, and this lady's sister called me and said, hey, my sister needs insurance. I showed up, and she's like, Kurt, you are a God blessing. I'm so glad. I know I've been thinking about needing insurance. I know I want it. I just don't want anything through the TV or mail. I was just looking for the right person to talk to. And if my sister says you're good, then you're good. I'll trust whatever you say, because if you helped her and she's really stubborn, whatever you tell me I'm going to get, I'm going to get. And that's how it is. And she was, kissing me, hugging me, saying I'm the best thing ever. And so, that's why we do what we do. It's a really good feeling. Now, I love helping people, but there's something about recently recruiting and having new agents that there's something better about it. For example, my new guy, Tracy, he's still juggling 2 jobs. Until he starts making a little bit more money doing this, he's going to cut the cord, kind of like what I did when I started. And he went out yesterday and made 5 sales. Kudos to Tracy Sims yesterday. Hope he's on the call, but he made 5 sales on a Sunday. For some reason, I have a greater feeling of my guy making a sale than me making a big one. There's something about it that I just love other people having success. I got this new guy, George, coming on, who's just asking tons of questions. And when you're asking tons of questions, that's a good thing. You're really trying to get this thing going. The people that are quiet, not calling their manager, not a good thing. Keep communication open. Keep calling the people that are here. Reach out to other people on the call. I mean, we're all here to help each other. So if anyone needs my help, any questions, great. And if I need your help, I'm certainly going to reach out. So I hope that helps, Tone, and kick it back to you.
Excellent. It's always an honor. Thanks for having me on the call today. Welcome, NSC Nation. Last week, as we continue getting through this coronavirus thing, has been I think, the 20 leads or so, statistics have keep showing I probably just 2 or 3 of those leads in my stack are kind of turning me away due to Corona. And so I just encourage the folks here, that it's definitely real, it's definitely resistant, but there's still people buying. There are plenty of folks that don't care at all. Just like they haven't even missed a beat. Some of them maybe cooped up a little, but they're happy to talk. So that's kind of what I've been finding as I'm going out there still. The case study I had last week was kind of I used to use the term, and I kind of stole this, in reverse from like McDonald's. McDonald's always would say biggie size everything or super size everything, or maybe Wendy's was biggie and McDonald's was super size. And what I've kind of learned in the final expense is, and I use the term, you have to right size, policy to somebody. I think if you try to oversell or undersell, you put yourself in that position that you're going to be where either if you undersell somebody, someone else is going to come back and replace you, and they'll say, well, why did you only buy 10,000? And we use these tactics as well. well, why did you only buy 10,000? It's like, oh, well, that's all the agent showed me. Well, did you want more coverage than that, or can you afford more? Well, yeah, I wanted to have 20,000. Boom, you're replaced instantly. So you don't want to undersell, but at the same token, if you sell that 20,000 because that's what they really, really think they want, but they can no way, shape, or form afford it, now you're going to not get replaced, but they're going to drop it. They're going to and you're going to get charged back because they're going to get maybe 2, 3, 4 at max 6 months into it, and they're going to drop it because they can't afford it. Or that other agent comes in behind you, and Mrs. Johnson is just talking. She's sending another card to another agent because they're like, I just can't afford this $180 a month premium. I thought I wanted it. And I said, well, Miss Johnson, well, could you afford $90 a month? And they're like, absolutely. And it's the easiest replacement in the world for that agent to come in and replace you. So you got to really, I like that term, right size the policy, where you're not leaving dollars out of the house, but you're not overselling and you're not underselling to put yourself in a position where you'll get replaced or lapsed out. So I had one of those cases. There was another agent had come in about 12 months ago to this client and sold him a premium. It was about 70, it was in the 70s per month. I can't remember the exact number. And the guy had actually already lapsed it. He made it about 6 months into it, lapsed out the policy, and he was done. He actually was funny. He was sitting on the kitchen table there. I saw the policy there as we were through the whole warm-up, and then as we kind of stepped into it, I said, oh, is this a policy? Can I look at this? And at that point, I hadn't known that it was lapsed. You know, as I dug a little further, realized that it had lapsed, and so we got into it, and he still kind of wanted to buy something in the $70 a month range. And I just really dug in deep, and almost to the point where I was like hammering him to figure out, well, why did this other policy cancel? Why did you? And he says, well, I just ran into some tough times. I just couldn't really afford it. And so then I couldn't pay the bill. So I just really got into his head a little bit and realized, and his finances a little bit. And so I ended up selling him something for like $59 a month. So it just sounded better to be in the 50s. So a $59 policy ended up being more affordable, and then it sounded better till it was like a $73 policy that he had lapsed. And so I think the key is just really listen to the clients, watch their body language as you quote them, watch if they flinch, what they say, and then if they flinch a little, you can tell them just tense up a little, or you can almost just sense the way they're saying it that they're stretching out too far in their budget. And so you really have to just kind of, it's back to that thing, the overall arching thing would be that it's the people science of it, but you're just in there watching them so that so that your policy stays on the books. They don't go looking for more insurance later, or if they do, they call you because they love you, or they don't chop it and cancel it because it was too far of an extension on their budget. So really try to right size it. I know sometimes it's hard when you throw out that $150 number per month or that $200, and then the client's like, yeah, let's go for it. And so sometimes it can be exciting, and when you write those policies, you just have to make sure that you're reading the body language. You double check literally 3 or 4 times that it's affordable to them before you write some of those bigger policies. And you can do this in the smaller policies as well, but especially the bigger ones. And then just right size it down to them to what their budget is so that it doesn't fall off the books. So use that in the field. Remember, put this in your people science arsenal so that you're just paying attention and your policies stay on the books.
Well, hey, first and foremost, got to thank God for each and every day for this just awesome and great opportunity I have. Great talk this morning, Tone. Really pinpointed, the face your fear, because obviously that was me, being new into this. Great talk from a man, the Minister of Insurance, Mr. Mitchell, dropping gold as always. Just so blessed to be a part of, of his teachings and everything that he does for me and my family, every day, personal and professional. Just so blessed to have greatness, around me. Tony, just want to talk a little bit about, the face your fear, to the new folks that are, coming along. I've been doing this now for, 9 weeks or so, 2.5 months or so. And I had a lot of fear, coming into this. My whole thing was it's hard to swallow the pill that the money that I'm going to be spending every week is double and triple the amount of money that I used to bring home every week, with the leads. And then you make that assumption, and then you go out and you do these ride-alongs. And that's what I always had to talk to Tom about, is I needed seat time. I needed to see how this worked, to face the fear of, having to spend the money, to promote the wealth. And long and behold, it didn't take too many ride-alongs to figure out that, I definitely was going to spend the money on the A leads and what they produced. I mean, you can make your money back on your leads, the first house that you're at for the week. So that was just one of my fears that I had to face. And then, to go along also what you talked about this morning, Tony, was flush the filth. Flush the filth out of your life. That's kind of my motto. Don't surround yourself with negativity and don't surround yourself with listening to things on TV and music and stuff like that. That can bring you down with a lot of the people in this world, unfortunately. So just great to reiterate that, Tone. Just a quick case study, really on another item on facing your fear. I had a lead that actually was handwritten right on the lead that they wanted somebody to call them. They did not want anybody to come out to their house. So when I excuse me, when I got to that lead, it was like, you got to be ready for it. And you got to be ready for, the objection, at the door, at the doorknob. So I kind of went around it a different way, and, I always show, the client at the door, the signature, that they put on the slip, and it was, I just had to kind of beat around the bush, so to speak, just kind of bulldog my way in the door, because I knew if I'd shown that to her, I knew that it would, pretty much kind of ruin my way to get in there and to make the presentation. So I just kind of, told her that, you sent in this notification to me, to come out and talk to you guys. And she's like, oh, well, come on in. And that was really just kind of the way to get into it. Just got to be resourceful, so to speak, on getting yourself in the door, facing that fear. And long and behold, I did showing her the notification. A little bit later, she's like, oh, yeah, I do remember doing that now. And I said, well, we had no way to get a hold of you, to send out any information. That's why they sent me out here to go over that information with you. She's like, oh, I just didn't know how it worked, and I just assumed you guys could just send me something in the mail. So long and behold, got her taken care of, and it was actually one of my biggest premiums of the week. And I just want to recommend, to all the folks out there to face your fear. I mean, you're you never know what it's going to be like on the other side. And if they, like Tony says, if they say no, I mean, you never have to see them again anyway. So, why not give it a shot? So I'll give it back to you, Tony.
Your talk today is spot on. It's absolutely. I always say that when I'm in a home, I'm always listening with a purpose, which means that I'm looking for hints and clues on what I'm going to use to try and sell them later, or bring something up later. And my transition question is, always, why did you send the card in? And the lady that in question that I'm talking about, when I walked in there, I mean, she's 50 years old. She's 5'3" and she weighs 450 pounds. So, she's sitting in a motorized wheelchair, but I mean, she still can get out of it and everything. So, but anyway, when I asked her that question, she said her dad had passed away a couple of years ago and had nothing, and she said that she was, scrambling around and trying to ask for help from this place and that place, and it was just a giant mess. And so she said, she looked at me because she's been big for a while and said, I've been trying for 20 years to try and get insurance, and I've been turned down every time. And I said, well, I might be able to help you. I'm not sure, but I need to be able to ask some questions here in a little bit, and I might be able to help you. And just a great person. Just she happens to be just really big, and so we got through everything, and it turns out, she literally has nothing wrong with her except she's, ultra excited, as we like to say. And I kind of knew where I wanted to go, but, just for the sake of, edification, I always call you, Tony, even though I really don't need to most times, but I call just to edify you and to just make sure that people understand that, it gives me creds too, I believe. And yeah, she went for it. It was, and when she was able to get insurance, she was more than excited about trying to get as much as she could, or as much as she could afford, because she's never been able to get it. So, the Royal Neighbors is what we went with, because they don't ask height and weight. And, I was, even if she doesn't have any COPD, I believe, that's, which she didn't, there's still a day one benefit. So, it's just a really cool option, and I'm just so grateful for our carriers. And I think we talked about that on Tuesday when I wrote it. But the big thing that, like you were saying today, I always listen with a purpose, and I try and incorporate that into what I talk to them about a little bit later on in the presentation. But would they ever know that I was trying to use that as a wedge? No. When I talk to people, it's always a conversation. It's always, trying to find out where they're at and what they want to do. And it works out well. So that's all I really have, and back to you.
All right. First of all, I want to give Lord, my Savior, all the glory for yesterday and every day, and for this wonderful career that He has blessed me with. You find those diamonds in the rough when you get those wonderful leads, and there's days that you get out there and you plug away and you knock on every door you can, and Miss Johnson or Mr. Johnson's just not home, or you just can't find them, and then you wind up getting to that door that you get there, and your day's still blessed. And when you knock on the door and Ms. Johnson comes to the door and greets you and says, I know you're probably here for some insurance, and I really don't want to talk to you right now. But you keep plugging away, and you just kind of go through your door approach. And she finally, when we got through the door approach, we got in. I just kind of reassured her and calmed her at the door that I wasn't there to sell her anything. I was just her benefit coordinator, and all I wanted to do was just get there and make sure that what she was in was what she was supposed to have. And we sit and build a rapport, but it was a two-legger, and I, mentioned was her husband there, and she says, no, he's actually on his way home from work. So I felt comfortable to go ahead and just get started with her, and she said he'd be there in about 10 or 15 minutes. And we kind of went through everything we possibly could, but she was not willing to give up the policies. I knew she had policies. She told me she had them since 1997, and generally they're pretty wrong about their timing, but she happened to be on target. She knew what she was talking about. And finally we coaxed it out of her. I kept asking her, all I need to do is review your policy. She knew she had a loan on it. And I said, okay, all right. I said, let's just see what we can find out. Do you know who it's actually through? And she goes, yes, American General. And I said, okay. And I said, I can just give them a call. I can get your policy information from them. I said, are you okay with that? She said, sure. Well, as I was calling them, lo and behold, she goes, leaves the room, comes back with this brown box, and guess what happened to be in the box? Her policy. So I kind of hung up from the phone for just a minute, and I wanted to get the policy, look at it, make sure everything was in order. And then we actually called because her loan was so large. And she had brought out a paper that was give me her loan information. And she found her husband's, which the loan was on it was even larger. So waiting for her husband to get there, I just kind of went on ahead and processed through hers. She says, I need to get out from under this loan. What we got to build the rapport. And she says, what can you help me with? What can you do for me today? So we kind of went through everything, got her health information. She was in great health and no issues there. But she knew that there wasn't going to be much left in her policy. Once we called, got all the information, she was about in tears. Well, we processed her, got her approved, got her taken care of, and her husband had come in by this time, and he had called her while I was on the phone, and she had said, insurance man's here, you need to get home, we've got to get your situation fixed, he's fixing mine now. Well, he's about 17 years older than she is, and when we got there, I could see the policy, I could see the loan amount, and I knew he was probably in some trouble. And when we got there, he kind of come over, we introduced ourselves, we got her taken care of, she stepped into the other room, and he kind of bowed his head, he hung his head, and got to talking to him, and what had happened with his loan was so large, he stopped paying on his policy back in November. He let it lapse, and he did not tell his wife. So what he had done is he went out and got him a $10,000 policy through Physicians Mutual last month. That is a guaranteed issue. And this man is extremely healthy to be 69 years old. Needless to say, his age, being a smoker, we got him into a day one preferred with LBL, and she had them go ahead and draft the payment immediately because when she found out he had no insurance, I really, truly thought she was actually going to shoot him right there on the spot, but she didn't. And I said, we need to wait until you at least get the insurance coverage on him. But it was a wonderful day. It was just one of those you walk into where everything kind of lines up. You build a rapport, and you have a client for life because you help them in the same respect, but you give them all the information they needed, and you took care of them. And so we wound up putting on the husband's policy there. They have a 10-year-old son, so we actually put the rider on there with LBL for this child as well. So it was just really a good day, Tony.
Cool. Well, first off, congratulations to Derek and Patrick. I mean, Derek's running around like he's got his hair on fire, and it's just so wonderful seeing Patrick come as far as he's come, and he's just hitting doubles, triples, and home runs every day. So congratulations to you guys. I'll be quick. I know we're kind of running down to the end here, but yesterday I wrote 6 policies, all children of people I've written before. And that's kind of where I was going to go with what I was talking about. Here's a little bit of the history on this. The first one is it's an adult son of someone. It was originally a senior center. She's kind of a referral queen for me over there. And she does a little bit of everything at the senior center. She's really too young to be there, but she's there. But anyway, she called me. I had written one on her. I wrote one on her granddaughter. She called me, said my son needs something. He lost his job, and he needs to get life insurance. How quickly can you come over? And so I obviously got in the car and I ran. So, but that only happened because we stayed in contact, and that's kind of where I'm going with this. I'll jump right to the second one. The second one was. I got a call from a guy I had written. Great guy. He was a hard-to-place case. He could only find a 2-year graded. He was overly excited and had some health issues, and we got him into a trans standard. He's loving life. His family's loving me now. He calls me and said, I got 5 grandkids. I want to get coverage on them, and now we're going to work on his daughter. Okay, but I say all that just to say to people, the key is to stay in contact with clients. And I mean, I say, like, write all the new business you can, but don't forget the ones who loved you first. We send out cards, and that's how these guys remain connected to me. As my client base builds up, we send, regular messages to people, thank yous. We send, various and assorted cards. And at this point, they all can get in contact with me as quickly as they need to, because they know I'm still out there. I always say that, I'll meet with clients once a year for annual reviews, that kind of stuff, because I don't want to be that agent that writes a policy and then walks off into the woods and you never see them again. So we do that, and I keep telling them that we're going to stay in contact. So they're expecting this kind of stuff from me. So, I love writing new clients, because new clients become existing clients, and existing clients become referral sources. And that's exactly what happened yesterday. So other than that, it was just, a normal day, but it was good to just hear from these people again and reinforce why we started the relationship in the first place. So back to you, Tom.
I came from, like I said, the automotive background, similar to what Bill Ham did. And, coming from, making a salary of, $400 a week, working 80 to 100 hours a week, bringing home $250 every week. I mean, yeah, this is a true blessing in all matters. So yeah, thank you again for the opportunity, Tony and SC. Just to get into a case study that I had yesterday, I had a sold a small one yesterday. Couldn't really find anybody home yesterday afternoon, and so decided to come home and try to make my daughter's practice, basketball practice, and I had just remembered that I needed to get in touch with a friend of mine. She had reached out to me. She was a customer of mine in the auto industry for several years, and she had just recently lost her son. Actually, yesterday was 3 months to the day, and she wanted me to just review the policy that he had, and check on the beneficiaries and stuff like that. She's going through some stuff with American General with that. So I just happened to call her on my way home and asked her if she was going to be home, and I had a moment to stop by and to look it over for her, and she said sure, yeah, stop on by. So we actually talked the entire time out on her front porch, and just kind of caught up a little bit, and went over the policy on her son, and just kind of started to plant the seed a little bit, and talk to her about what kind of coverages and stuff did she have, and come to find out that she did have coverage several years ago with also American General, but she had to cash it in to pay for her husband's funeral back 10 years ago. So I just kind of planted the seed of need, so to speak, and just talked to her, and she's got 3 daughters, and she's had to pay the bill for both funerals of her son and her husband. So just kind of planted the need for it, and long and behold, she was in excellent health, and she and I kind of take this nugget from Scotty G. Several months ago, heard it on the call, that try to get as much money out of the house that you can. And when I always sit down with a client, I'll always tell them to, regardless if it's a guaranteed product or not, you qualify for the very best product that's offered, and you can qualify for up to $40,000 in coverage. And then I just try to read the client and see what their body language is, and then kind of start going back from there. And so I did that last night, and planned that scene. And she was like, "Really? Are you kidding me? I didn't think that I would get any kind of coverage like that." So we kind of went back and forth, $20,000, $30,000 in coverage, and long and behold, did $35,000 coverage with Mutual of Omaha, and so she, obviously, get her taken care of. She didn't want to place that burden on her 3 daughters, and she wants to leave money back, for them as well. So that was pretty much my day, Tony. Back to you, sir.